The Forgotten Corridor. The lower decks of orbital station Prometheus smelled like recycled air and broken dreams. Marcus Chen pushed his cleaning cart through the dimly lit corridor, the wheels squeaking with each rotation like tired mice. His shift had started 6 hours ago and his stomach had been growling for the last 3. The protein bar he'd eaten for breakfast was a distant memory now, but lunch was still 2 hours away. Marcus was 42 years old, though the harsh lighting made him look older. His maintenance uniform hung loose on his frame, testament to too many skipped meals and stretched paychecks. He'd come to the station 5 years ago with his wife Elena, chasing promises of opportunity in the newly integrated galactic economy. Instead, they'd found that being human in a galaxy full of established species meant starting at the bottom and staying there. The corridor he was cleaning now existed in a strange bureaucratic limbo. Too deep in the station to matter to the wealthy residents above, too insignificant to warrant proper maintenance. The lighting panels flickered intermittently, casting dancing shadows against the metal walls. Most of the station's staff avoided this area entirely. But Marcus had learned long ago that the forgotten places often held the most interesting stories. He was scrubbing a particularly stubborn stain when he heard it. A sound so faint he almost missed it beneath the hum of the station's life support systems. A whimper, high-pitched and desperate like wind through broken glass. Marcus straightened, his back protesting the sudden movement. He'd heard many strange sounds in these corridors over the years. The station was home to dozens of alien species, each with their own noises and habits. But this sound was different. This sound carried pain. Marcus followed the noise to a junction where 3 corridors met. The maintenance panel had been pried open, revealing the tangle of pipes and conduits that kept the station alive. And there, wedged between a coolant line and a power coupling, was something that shouldn't exist in such a place. A dragon hatchling, no bigger than a small dog with scales that had lost their luster and wings that trembled with exhaustion. Marcus had seen dragons before, of course. They were impossible to miss. The dragon clans were among the oldest and most powerful members of the Galactic Federation. Their ships moved through space like living storms, and their diplomats commanded respect in every negotiation. But he'd never seen one like this, vulnerable, afraid, dying. The hatchling's eyes opened as Marcus approached. They were silver, like polished mirrors, and they held an intelligence that made Marcus catch his breath. This wasn't just an animal. This was a child. The dragon tried to pull itself free, but it was too weak. Its movements only wedged it tighter between the pipes. Marcus knelt down, ignoring the protest from his knees. His translator badge, a cheap model that barely worked on good days, flickered uselessly. The dragon made a sound, something between a chirp and a cry, and Marcus felt his heart break a little. He knew what it was like to be trapped in a place where nobody cared whether you lived or died. He reached out slowly, keeping his movements gentle and predictable. The dragon flinched but didn't try to bite. Up close, Marcus could see how thin it was. The scales hung loose, and he could count each rib beneath the iridescent hide. When had it last eaten? How long had it been trapped here in the darkness? Marcus worked carefully, his cleaning calloused hands surprisingly gentle as he maneuvered the hatchling free from its prison. The dragon weighed almost nothing, lighter than it should be, lighter than was safe. Once free, it collapsed against Marcus's chest, too exhausted to even hold up its head. Its breath came in shallow gasps, and Marcus could feel its heart racing like a trapped bird. He looked down at the creature in his arms and made a decision that would change everything. His lunch container sat on his cleaning cart, containing the meal Elena had packed that morning. She'd used the last of their good ingredients for it, real chicken, seasoned with herbs they'd grown in their tiny apartment, rice cooked with saffron they'd saved for weeks to afford. It was supposed to be a treat, a small celebration of their wedding anniversary. Marcus opened the container and the aroma filled the corridor. The dragon's head lifted slightly, nostrils flaring, those silver eyes focused on the food with desperate hunger. Marcus tore off a small piece of chicken, holding it out to the hatchling. The dragon sniffed cautiously, then took the meat with surprising delicacy. It chewed slowly, as if savoring every fiber, every molecule of nutrition. Marcus fed the dragon piece by piece, watching as color slowly returned to its scales. The dull gray brightened to silver blue, shot through with veins of gold. The trembling in its wings subsided. With each bite, the hatchling seemed to come back to life like a flower opening to the sun after a long winter. Marcus gave it everything, every grain of rice, every morsel of chicken until nothing remained but the empty container and the lingering smell of saffron. The dragon looked up at him with those mirror-bright eyes, and Marcus could have sworn it understood what he'd done. It made a sound, softer now, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Then it nuzzled against his hand, scales warming beneath his touch. Marcus stroked its head, feeling the delicate bone structure beneath the armor plating, marveling at how something so powerful could be so fragile. After a few minutes, the dragon's strength returned enough for it to move. It climbed onto Marcus's shoulder, surprisingly sure-footed now, and chirped again. This time the sound was brighter, full of life and energy. Then, before Marcus could react, the hatchling launched itself into the air. Its wings, which had seemed so feeble before, caught the recycled air with newfound strength. It circled Marcus once, twice, then disappeared into a ventilation shaft with a flash of silver-blue scales. Marcus sat alone in the corridor, empty lunch container in hand, stomach growling louder than ever. Around him the station hummed with indifferent life. Ships docked and departed. Traders haggled over prices. Diplomats negotiated treaties. And somewhere in the ventilation systems, a dragon hatchling that should have died was alive because a janitor had chosen kindness over hunger. Marcus didn't know the hatchling's name. Didn't know its family or its importance. He only knew that he'd seen a child suffering and had done what any decent person would do. He gathered his cleaning supplies, returned to his cart, and finished his shift. His stomach complained all afternoon, but his heart felt lighter than it had in years. When he returned to the small apartment he shared with Elena that evening, he told her about the dragon. She held him close, understanding what the sacrifice had meant, knowing they would make do with less for dinner. They always did. That night, Marcus dreamed of silver eyes and wind chimes, never imagining that his simple act of compassion had set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. The next morning, everything changed.